Hi. Hello, everyone.
We're so excited to be here.
Welcome to Sip and Read. We have the lovely, the gorgeous, the talented D.A. Young.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming. Oh my God.
No, it's my pleasure.
Even though the super fans that we are. Okay, so I actually have a story before we start the interview.
Okay.
So we read the Minabrisky Row way back when, right? Way before we started Sip and Read, right?
Okay.
But it stuck with us so much that Sarita was wouldn't stop telling her friend about it. And that's when the friend was like, you know what? You should do this. Like, make a thing out of it. Go, and she's like, really? Is that what people do? And she was like, okay. So Minabrisky Row is why we started Sip and Read.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys loving the adventures.
I mean, I didn't even realize that I had talked about it so much that they were like, you know what, friends? Go find other friends that want to talk about books.
Well, you know what? While we're sitting here giving flowers, let me tell you, ladies, like all of my friends love you guys. Like they do. Whoever's not on Instagram, whenever I run into them, they're like, let me see this. And I'm like, why don't you just get your own account? And they're like, the government's watching. No. And I'm like, oh, okay. So we share everything. And my mom wants to fight Ingrid now. So she's like, why did you make this character that makes everyone so mad? What is wrong with you? And I'm like, oh my God, okay. It's like, this is why I don't share my stuff with you.
But Ingrid had like the ultimate redemption story. And I'm sorry for being so passionate.
It's okay. No, I appreciate it. My thing is that if there's ever a chance for redemption for someone, some people don't really, you're like, nah, I'm gonna step over your corpse and keep going or whatever. I'm not even gonna try to bring you back from the dead like some soap opera 20 million times. But I think if there is a chance for redemption, I like to do it. I like to try and see what I can do there.
But what was so great about her story was that it was believable. Sometimes I feel like authors try to force the redemption arc for plot armor or for whatever, but it was believable because she didn't start off that way. And then going through this process with her, you got to see the growth. It wasn't just like, boom, she was a new person.
Yeah. I just think it's better to go with being realistic. I mean, you can't just turn someone into an angel overnight. Everybody's got flaws. Let's highlight them. Let's see what we can do with them, and try to bring the good out there. Like, I'm not saying Ingrid's gonna be everybody's favorite person or anything like that, but I like that she's trying. She always left me some kind of way, and it just really, really bugged me. So I was like, let me see if there's an opening of some sort. If it happens, I kind of like to wait on a story to see if my mind changes on it or so. So sometimes it takes a long time to get an adventure out, but it's kind of like, okay, there was a moment there that I couldn't pass up to do it. So I'm gonna do it.
So do the characters talk to you, or do you have a plan of, okay, this is how it's going to go, this is what's happening?
I say, this is how it's going to go. I'm in charge. You're going to walk. This is how we're doing it. And then they laugh at me. And I'm like, okay, so you don't have to laugh so hard at me. I'll do what you want. And then that's what happens. Because sometimes it's like, in the beginning, it was like, bam, 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 this is how it goes, like bullet points, nothing ever changes. And then I got to Graham's story, Take a Chance on Me. And it was like, I had everything outlined and I started writing, and then it was like, no, this doesn't feel right at all. So then I just kind of waited a second and I just listened to them. And I just listen to them all the time. I'm like, what are we doing today, guys?
I love it. Well, I always felt like it had to be planned out so well because the stories interlock so perfectly.
Okay. I want to say that I work a little magic. I do a little this, that, and boom. But it just happens. I can't really explain that part. everything just, I see it and I go for it, and that's it. Like, there isn't no, oh, I'm gonna make this and this is gonna, and they just happen to intersect that way, which always blows my mind. Somebody will be like, oh my God. I'm like, yeah, too. That was great, right? And I'm like, good one, guys, good one.
Easy. It really is like, and again, to take it back to Men of Risky Road, when it's so funny, I've read that series and this series so many times, right? And every time I always feel like it's the first time. I'm like, I know where my Darby Sullivan is. What you don't know is I love Miss Avery. I really do. But I love Darby more.
Is there a throuple? Is there a throuple that's happening here?
When I tell you, red and white until Darby Sullivan.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you really good.
When I say I didn't know that I was into redheaded white men until the he does it for me. Oh my God.
What? Me either. But every time I spend time with Darby, I'm like, oh, let's kick Avery out of the picture. Let's me and you do something, you know? And he's not even my favorite. So I'm always just like, but when I see him, he's just such a good character. And he's a good man, Savannah. But he just really I really, really like him. And sometimes I find that I could probably write about these characters for a long time if you let me. But I think it's also like the fear of being stagnant. Like if you stick with something and then that terrifies me more than anything. So I like to bounce around and go places. And I know some people are like, well, you just sit your ass down and like finish this here. But I need to get out of, once I write about a book, I want to go on to the next series and do it. So just to keep a fresh perspective. But I really do love Darby. And like I said, he's my favorite. But he's just such a good person. And you can't help it.
You can't. So who's your favorite?
Jack is my favorite. I wrote Jack for me. Okay. Before I wrote Jack for me, I wrote Max for me. Those two are my favorites, followed by Zay and Graham. And I really like Guy's Heart. I love Guy's Heart. He is one of those characters where he's funny and he's always with the jokes and everything, but when he fell, he really fell. And he's got like a messy little story or so, you know, it's all a family affair though. And I really just love the way that Guy's mind operates. So, but it's always Jack first, followed by Max. Like they're probably running next.
Because I love me some Hope too.
Look, she love Hope. That's probably the story that she has like reread the most out of yours. And that's saying a lot because we reread that series a lot.
You know, Hope, that video you put up where you're like a blonde, blue-eyed man, and I didn't know. Me either. Like I said, it's always surprising to me too. So yeah, when you said that, I was like, oh, that is true. And then I went back and read some pieces, and I was like, oh, yeah, it's got it going on, right? You know, and my daughter's like, ew, gross, don't say that again. But I do like Hope. I love whoever's story that I'm in, you know, so it's whoever I'm with, I'm in love with them to like the 100th power, and I'll go back later and I'm just like, oh yeah, that was great. Yeah, you know, but once I'm done, I like to move on to somebody else until I come back around, and then I'm like, hey boy, how are you? Good to see you again.
Right. One thing that you are so amazing at, and why I am like enamored with your series, is the crossovers and things, but like the characters stay true to the character. Like when you're in each person's head, like they just seem larger than life. Like they're all experts at their crafts and, you know, so things, but at no point is one character, like you never dull someone else's light to make this person shine more. And it's just so amazing because they all still shine. And you still get like, this is this person's story. Like,
well, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Like, I really appreciate that.
Perfection.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I grew up with soap operas, so I'm a big soap opera baby, and I don't know. I love the multi layers, and whenever I read a book, like before I started writing, I'd read a book and I'm like, well, wait a minute, what's her friend doing over there? What, like we never heard from that friend again. How come we didn't? What's her story and stuff, you know? And I think when I'm writing, I want to move all the characters forward, you know, like, so there's at no point, no one gets left behind. You know, it's like this war story. No one gets left behind. We're going to write and nobody go back and get your man, you know? And so I want to, like someone recently asked me if Dominic and Ian were going to get their story. And I just, for me, I've got a clipboard full of characters and I just check on it, see if anybody's moving. If a thought comes to mind, I go and I write it and stuff down next to them. But the goal is to move them along to, like, just whether it just happens where they finally connect or whether they get a story, I'm going to keep moving the characters so no one is like stagnant or anything like that. So I do want to show everybody's growth. Whoever's involved in the story, everybody gets a little part of it and get highlighted and stuff. That's really important to me on that.
You're like the Marvel of this literary world, right? Like everybody is, it's like you said, they're constantly moving, like nobody's space is wasted. So when we get to Guy, we already know him. Like it wasn't a surprise for him to be, I mean, it wasn't a surprise what he did to Pearl. That was a surprise.
You know, what is it? It ain't no fun if the homies, what do they say? We couldn't leave him behind. He needs something, you know? And he really shines in Save the Date.
I genuinely enjoy the way that you intertwine the stories. And for a while, I thought you were going to block me because I was in your DMs real heavy.
Oh, no.
You can unblock.
You know what? I really like when people enjoy the stories because I want you to get an adventure, and that's why I call them adventures and stuff. And I'm just like, who's ready to go on an adventure? I want to go on an adventure. Like, we don't know where it's going to take us, but it's going to be an adventure. And I think at the end of the day, I want it to be fun. You know, I want it to be fun and for people to enjoy because I mean, you could be doing anything with your time, but you picked up a book of mine. So I really, really do appreciate that. So thank you, Marvel. Wow, my daughter's going to love that. I'm going to get some cool points with her because she loves Marvel.
It's so perfect. And you saying, sorry to cut you off, but you saying soap opera is like perfect, especially for the Men of Risky Row, because you kind of know who the star of each book is. But you get such multi-plot, multi-point of view that it does feel like a soap opera. You're here, and then you're in Darby's head, and then you're in Casey's head.
Yeah.
Casey's head.
You
know, so it definitely feels that way.
Yeah, I think it's also too where I believe you said, Serta, that you want it to feel like a movie too, like everything is going and stuff, you know, and when I started writing, I didn't know that it was going to turn out this way. I just knew that I had characters and I didn't even know if I was going to write my next book. Like I just snuck this little project onto Amazon in the middle of the night. And I was like, hopefully somebody will like it, you know? And I was just proud. Like, even if I never told anybody else about it, I was just going to, you know, it was something that I knew that I did, but I didn't want to leave anybody wondering about characters in case I never came back to it. So it just seemed like a natural progression to keep going that route and stuff, you know. And I know that some people are like, oh my gosh, you know, this is too much, you know, there's a lot going on and stuff. But to me, it's like, do you watch Game of Thrones? Who here watches Game of Thrones? Who here can follow what is that guy, the Marvel dude, the doctor that
Strange?
Yes. So a lot of times in the early days, I was like, hey, who watches Game of Thrones? And everybody's like, or who watches Blue Bloods? And every sibling, the father, everybody gets a story. So it's like, when I saw people saying, oh, you know, it's a lot to follow, and I'm like, okay, I'll see you in the next book, you know, and I just keep going. So That's all we can do.
Funny that you said that. I had got into it with one of my clients because she said she was looking for a story that had a lot. Like she felt like everything she was reading was so like one dimensional. So I'm like, oh, okay, you got to start here. So I told her to read The Risky Road. And she was like, okay, so I'm telling her all about it. Like, you're going to love it. It's great. I haven't told her anything except for how fantastic it is, right? And I'm like, and listen to the audio.
Thank you.
Audible is on point. This heifer comes back to me and says, well, I read some of the reviews and they were like, a lot is happening. I'm like, didn't I just tell you it was good? Why do you care what that said? I said it was good. You should read it. Like, and I mean, that was my first time like, oh, so people really don't give a shit what I be saying. Like,
you know what? Sometimes when I'm recommending something to my friends and they're like, and then I'm like, did you go back and did you see it? Did you do it? And they're like, ah. I'm like, the nerve of you. How dare you? I will never send you anything again. And then they're like, hey, did you see? I was like, nah, I don't know. So that's my toxic trait. Once I recommend you something, like go do it, go find it, go get it, whatever and stuff. But no, I mean, I do understand where, you know, something might be a lot for someone or so, you know, but I mean, it's not going to stop anything from happening. It's just going to
I gotta be honest. I don't understand. Okay. I don't want to offend anybody, but for me, you are the gold standard of multi-plot, right?
Mm-hmm. We never even knew it was multi-plot.
We didn't know that's what it was called.
Your bio told us what it was because we got something where it's like everybody's point of view, but then there's a narrator. We didn't know what it was, and we were stalking you so hard that your bio said that, and we were like, "That's what it is."
Well, thank you. I sometimes I honestly don't know how to describe it either. You know, like for a long time, I didn't really tell people what I did for, like, especially my pastor, you know, he's like, oh, you heard you got a new job. I was like, maybe I did, might have, you know, what'd you hear about it, you know? And, you know, for a long time, I never said, you know, what I did. I don't know why, I just never did. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm an author, I write books. And they're like, oh, what kind of books? I'm like, huh? Well, and you know, that one meme where it's like the algebra quote and he's trying to explain everything. And I'm just like, here's my link, just take it, good luck. And I just have to leave it at that, you know? So I really don't know how to say it or how to put it or whatever, or like describe, but when I know someone likes it, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm really glad that you do like it and that you got it and stuff, you know, because I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do about it. So
I'm telling you, we just were like, and then there's things. But then over here, and they're like, wait, but they're
actual footage.
And that's
actual footage of us explaining it. Like, because we like to tell you about the book, but not tell you the book. That's our goal, right? Always. Yeah. And so that's actual footage of us trying to explain it. But there's how I read other books.
They're all really fine. Like, they're fine records. Like,
it's meant to be like multi-plot. So I'm like, oh shit, it was good. It was multi-plot. And she'd be like, oh, I'm like, it's not G.A. Young multi-plot, but it is multi-plot. Like, you are the gold standard.
You have your own style. And I feel like that is so refreshing. Yes. It's really nice. It's
Thank you so much.
No, you are so it's really true. Yes. It's so unique. I do a lot of audibles and Nikki will tell me sometime, like, how do you even know what they're doing without, you know, because you're not reading the words.
So, you know, sometimes there's an exclamation point or the word is italicized. So, you know, like emphasis on this word.
Yeah. And she's like, how do you even know? And I don't know if it's the narrators you choose or the way that you write the story. It's so easy to follow. Like it's just perfect. It blends perfectly.
And can I personally thank you for having all your stories whisper sync? Thank you.
Oh, no, again, thank you ladies so much. I think you have to have them whisper synced, but the narrators, they do such a really great job in bringing everything to life. And before I got on with Whiskey Row and stuff, I wasn't really sure how to bring this to life in Audible and stuff. And, you know, Sean is he's really, really great at what he does and stuff. Mm-hmm. And when we were trying out accents and I was like, whoa, don't be threatening me with a good time talking to my ear like that, you know, and stuff. But he does such a good job. And he puts you at ease, and the conversations that we had, regarding the accents, because I didn't necessarily know, okay, so you're like, yeah, I want a Southern accent for my guy and I want it to be hot, make it hot, like I want everybody to be like, and stuff.
Right.
And it was like, okay, so what part, where are they from? What are they, this, that? And I'm like, what, huh, what? And he's really, really good at that. So now when I'm sending, I have notes and stuff, and when I'm sending them off, I just say, like, for instance, save the date. You know what? They are from the Smoky Mountains, but this is the grandma's dialect and stuff like that. So, and they're really excellent at asking me, hey, how do you pronounce this? Or how would you have said this? Whatever stuff in what you wrote. And I'm like, oh, I hadn't even thought of that, but let me go check that out for you and stuff. So I'm so happy that people are enjoying the audibles, because I'm not really an Audible person myself. Like, it's too many people for me, and I can't sit there and do it, but whenever I hear that someone is enjoying it, I'm like, yes, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm glad you are. It's too much in my ear for me.
What? Every time someone says that, this is her reaction.
Blown. Okay, like, let me take my glasses off so you can see my face. I'm shocked. I am shocked when I tell you that was just shocking, because almost every story you have is on audio, and a lot of times I don't think authors think it's that important. I can't see. I'm so shocked.
What I appreciate is
I'm sorry.
the authors that don't really get audibles and audiobooks are like, I'm just putting on there because people like it. They don't pick good narrators, right?
Mm-hmm.
But every narrator I've heard, I felt like this is what they sound like in my head. Like this, they're truly bringing the story to life, right, with their voice, because some people just do the audio, and the narrators are always on point. Like, I thought you were an Audible girl.
Yeah, and
because your narrators are always understand the assignment, and they always give what you want them to give.
I feel betrayed.
The notes that I send are like, I know these people are professionals. I know that they are excellent at their job. And I know that they might be sometimes like, sit back in the corner before you hurt yourself. We got this, But when I tell you, they always understand, but here I am with my 8 pages of notes, like, hey, they need to sound like, and I know they're just like, rookie, get out of here, But I'm like, oh, okay, sure. I'll take your word for it. So I do appreciate that. And I always let them know when someone shares something with me too, so that they know also, because I'm so appreciative of them.
That's beautiful. When we were first deciding on like our next read before Sip and Read, and we listened to the audio like teaser, and the teaser is once their father dies. And what they do in his grave. And me and Sue are like, we turn our always dramatic, honey. So we turn our heads, and we meet again. It's like, we reading this, right? I already brought the book, baby.
I always forget. Like, I don't know why. The other day when you're talking about Nero Santos and stuff, and I forgot about him. I forgot about the opening for Sweet Obsession. I was like, oh, that did happen. Okay, I remember that. Act like you know, Denise. Always act like you know. Rule number 1. But I'm like, no way, that happened? And I'm the one that wrote it.
I cannot.
We always feel like we are Jedi masters of your books. We don't I'm like, my senses are tingling. Take a moment, think, because this character. Even if the name isn't being stated, the situation, this situation. It's been mentioned before. That rat bastard lawyer, I do know him.
And to the fact that he was the savior in this story, and I'm like,
I know, right? That always gets me too. I'm like, wait, he sounded like a likable guy there. And I'm like, he needs a scuzz bucket over here. But that's humanity.
But again, it was so perfect, the flow, because that's who his character was built up to be until you learn him. And so again, like just the layers of it, just the layers.
Like Americana Traditions is perfect. Baymore is perfect. How did you come up with the spring chicken, girl?
You know what? But
our big trucks when we get older and below.
You know what? The Meadows Mall and the Boulevard Mall in the mornings. I used to work at both. And they would have the senior citizens walking. And I actually got into it with one of them once because I didn't get out of her way fast enough. And that's how the spring chickens were born. And, and I was like, I could take her, and I'm like, this is somebody's grandma. You are not going to, I'm like, I could take her. I really could, And then now that I'm somebody's Gigi, I'm like, if I ever see her, I'm gonna be like, what's up now? This is the even playing field, but it really was, I got in her way and she there was like mention of don't make me go get the strap. And I was like, okay, all right. Well, I'm gonna go in my store, but if I see you later, it's on, it's so on. And then later I see her and I'm like running the other way because I'm like, oh my gosh.
No gangster like a child and an old person.
Yes, exactly. And you always know where you stand with them. Like they're those two age group, you always know where you stand.
They have no fear. None.
Yeah, and it's basically you don't stand too close to them.
Right. So that scene with Georgina and them being like,
there's a little truth in every book. There's something. So I was threatened with a gun by this old lady, okay. So when I see that scene in that Friday, the Christmas one, where she has her grandkids and going to run and get them, I'm like, I know it. I feel it. We need to start a support group. I know what it's like to be bullied by someone like that.
Yes. Like I could actually see this happen.
Yes, this is Vegas. So it's kind of like people in Vegas, they talk about East Coast people, and they have their personalities or so. Like Vegas people are different too, and when you get in front of a group of women and you're like in their way while they're trying to get their steps in, thank God they didn't have Fitbits back then. She'd been like, shit, so there's always a little bit of fact in, I guess, every story. I don't know if you guys are familiar with The Ties That Binds, but
yes,
Claudia,
we're familiar.
What Claudia wound up doing as a profession is what I used to do before I quit everything to start writing. So there's always a little bit in every female lead. There's a little bit of a funny story or maybe a little sad story, but you got to guess which one is the truth or not. But yeah, the spring chickens. Yeah, man, once I start writing them and all of my experiences, imagine you're like trying to get to work and all you want to do is just go open your store in time and you've got to you see them coming and you're like trying to make it in time and, and they're like, get out of the way. And even mall security doesn't want to deal with them. You're like, chicken.
The reason that's out of line.
That is my life. That was my life.
I do too. I do see.
Well, and it's funny too because my mom-in-law, who I absolutely adore, my mom-in-law, and she, we were picking my daughter up from school one day, and my husband is always like, my mom's an angel, butter wouldn't melt in her mouth. I'm like, do not let your mom fool you. I don't know who you think your mama is, but no. And he's like, don't you talk about my mom like that. I was like, I know your mama. I'll probably be your mama in like 30 years. Do not, And he's like, so we're picking my daughter up from school and it's crowded. Everybody's trying to get out of the parking lot. And this car just cuts my mother-in-law off. And she's like, oh, bitch ass, bless his heart. And I was like, what? And me and my daughter started laughing. I was like, see, and your son thinks you're so angelic all the time, and you are not. And she's like, oh, Lord, these children have made the devil come out in me. I blame them. I'm gonna have to I was like, no, it's you. It is your personality. So I go home and try to tell my husband, and he's like, not my mom. No. Yeah. So I told her, I was like, I'm gonna make you a spring chicken too. We're gonna put a Gloria in there. And she's like, is Gloria gonna be a good spring chicken? I was like, do you think you deserve to be a good spring chicken? And she's like, I'm telling you now, if you do, she's like, I will put curse on you. I was like, who talks like that? Who talks like that? See, that's why you're not a good spring chicken. And she's like, don't let me read about myself in there. I was like, okay.
When I tell you that I want to be a spring chicken so bad, we have a girlfriend who came to visit, right? We had dinner, and we all like books, so we're just like talking books. And then, I mean, when I tell you that no one has ever argued me down the way she did, she was like, you don't even know her. She went through a lot. Nice dinner on the strip, like having a good time. I just have to apologize for her. I'm like, it's you
It's okay. We're all gonna be spring chickens. We're all gonna wind up being spring chickens. I can't wait to get to spring chicken level.
Yeah,
I think I was made to be a spring chicken, honestly.
Oh, and
my daughter
don't have shorts. It's over. It's over. We're not becoming spring chicken. It's over. Okay.
And her and Shay never settled the argument because Shay was politely in the comments was like, you need to leave him alone.
She goes to
well, I will say this about the spring chickens, so they offered Georgina, they're like, you can be a member because you can't do anything for yourself, girl. We're gonna help you out and stuff. There's a little funny part that I'm gonna be adding to the next book where she is actually loud and proud, her and Eliza they're doing their spring chicken thing. And Max is highly concerned because he was like, it was funny at first, but it's not funny now. So Max is extremely concerned about that.
I love it. I just loved that whole scene because it truly gave you the kick in the face of Baymore. Like, these women are literally threatening her, but in protection of their friend's home.
Yeah, she was like, in Jesus' name, I'm gonna burn you up, girl.
Yeah, and then Georgina's like, everybody thinks these people are so perfect, and they're not. And then and Georgina is big time disgruntled, okay? And I am Georgina sometimes, like at probably like 5 times a day. I've got Georgina's miss me with that bullshit attitude, and so. And when you guys are talking about it and stuff, and it's all like in the name of Baymore and the spirit of Baymore, we want to keep the town safe and stuff. And Georgina's like, I knew it. This is why I didn't want to come back and stuff. I think it's so interesting because they're everywhere. They want to help, and they don't realize that they're being more of a hindrance than a help sometimes, but you are not going to deter them at all. Have you guys read Spring Save the Date yet?
I haven't read it yet. Not yet.
Okay. So there's Guy and the Spring Chickens. They mix it up. They go at it. Like, they're just not happy with but they make up in the end, and it's pretty funny how they make up, I will say. I'm not going to give anything away, but yeah, there's some hostility there on their part, but by the end, they're like, you know what? You're our friend, and we want to do you a favor. And anytime the Spring Chickens want to do someone a favor, and he's just like, no, I'm good. I promise you, I'm good. I don't want any part of what you've got going on. So
I don't need none of that.
Pretty funny.
It's the Spring Chickens knowing that they are them girls for me. Okay.
Yes. And they will not be deterred. Like, you cannot.
It is
Yeah.
an honor to be in their presence. When they brought Liza in, I was at work. I do I and I like to listen when I'm at work. When they brought Liza in, I felt
she had no idea what was coming. She was just like, but it's so funny how they stick their nose everywhere, and they, you know, in the end it's okay, and they have these memories to build and stuff. And I don't like to think about it because I'm like, you know, they are older and stuff, and I want to keep everybody going as long as I can. And you know, so there might be a point where I just kind of stop, if depending on how far Baymore goes, there might be a point where I might stop talking about them a little bit, rather than be like, you know, everybody's getting up in age, we might have to do something. Because perish the thought, you know, like you would ever have to deal with that and stuff. I want to keep everybody around as much as I can.
Well, Aunt Vi is like the youngest chicken they got next to Georgina.
Aunt Vi is the sanest chicken they have. You know, like she doesn't, but they know better than to mess with Aunt Vi. They're not gonna go there.
She does not play no games, baby. We'll save the date beyond audio. We'll save the date beyond audio.
Yes, the day after Christmas, it will be available.
Okay, so I might have to read it then.
Yeah, I'm late with all of the audio this year. I don't know. It's been kind of a crazy year, and I thought that it would be more, but yeah, everything's coming after July 4th, or 4th of July, and then it's this time around Somewhere to Bloom and Save the Date so far. If my new book, the new one might be on Audible before the year is out, if we can swing it, but I don't know. At least we have 3.
I'm just excited. I'm just
we just happy to be there.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I'm excited to hear the new people too. There's 2, let's see. I think there's 2 new female narrators, but I've listened to one's work, and then I heard the samples for Somewhere to Bloom also. She's really, really good. I really like her.
Okay, how exciting. Okay. This is exciting. I'm excited.
Okay, so
I'm glad.
How much research do you do into the characters and the places and the stories? Like, obviously some places are, you know, made and created to fit the story, but the characters are always so worldly. And it just seems like you've been to every place known to man. How much research do you do?
I normally try to stick with places that I've been in real life, and then just add on my little spin to it. But sometimes it can take 3 to 4 days to research something or look at it, you know, and you want to make it as real as fictionally possible to a reader. And I would rather do it that way than deal with like super cold hard facts and stuff. But like Cruz coming from Spain, like we lived in Spain for a while when my dad I was born in Vegas, but we moved shortly after. We lived in the Philippines for 6 years. We came back, probably 2 years or so in the States, then we went back overseas. So a lot of the places overseas, they pop up. I'm familiar with those places. But aside from that, I just like to make everything up because it's fun. But some of the phrases that are used in different languages and stuff, you know, and, you know, you want to check it, you want to make sure that you're using it. I give credit to whoever I'm talking to about whatever it is and stuff. So I remember for Winner Takes All, my dad helped me, you know, and my dedication was like, Dad, this was fun. Let's do it again, you know, sometime. And he's like, oh, well, you know what? I mean, maybe you could get like a Western guy and a war hero who came back from Vietnam, because I know all of these things, or maybe he went over. And I'm like, whoa, I just needed a little basketball. Slow it down, Stan. You know, but I want to make sure that I am doing it so I know what I'm talking about, you know, and I'm not like a hot mess or something. So, I mean, you have to do that.
You do an amazing job, even down to
thank you. Thank you.
Each little town are so cool. Like, you know, the butcher, and then you have like The butcher. But just everything, like where, you know, she got Hulk's beard oil from and it smelled like sunflower oil.
So this is weird, but so I wrote The Farmer and the Belle first, and The Farmer and the Belle, actually, the whole concept of Baymore and Max's farm and stuff. I worked for a restaurant group on the Strip for a long time, and they wanted to open up a new restaurant. And they're like, we want it to be farm to table. We want it. And I'm like, what's that? You know, so they're like, oh, well, you know what? This is your new project. So I spent like 6 months going through farm to table stuff, going, you know, talking to people on farms. They're researching everything, you know, the food, is it just everything, you know. So during that time frame, The Farmer and the Belle, like Baymore was created, and Max's farm, which is just somewhere I really wanted to live. But I know, because my smell sense, like I heard, you know, when you were talking about, we're right here. We are right here, because there's no way in hell ever, I mean, ever, you could ever, like my grandma had a farm in Louisiana and stuff. And, you know, like on a hot day, all those smells come together and you're just like, I'm staying inside today, you know. But, so that's where Cinnamon Farms came from and stuff. And, the whole thing about Whiskey Row was just, it was inspired by 2 songs, and they're so like far out there that you would just be like, what? You got this from where? How did this, you know? And I was working at my interior plant job, and my boss, she had this one station that she listened to, Mix 94.1, but it's different now. It's I don't know, like all the stations, I don't even listen to actual radio stations anymore, but back then it was all like rustic sounding. I don't even know the right words for it, but the music that we were listening to actually inspired Whiskey Row. So then we took a trip and wound up in Nashville, and I was like, oh. So I don't know, this whole concept just came to me, and it was Passengers Let Her Go, and Taylor Swift's Everything Has Changed. And that's how Jack and Noel came to be.
So
I heard those songs so much. Like I'd just be singing them at home and stuff. And this whole concept of this mountain town and everything it just came to me. And I was like, okay. So I really wish I had like a super duper cool story to tell you how Whiskey Row came to be or whatever, but it was all by accident too. So like,
no, but it's super cool. Like it's just so random, right? Like you just wouldn't expect for that to be.
I think it just speaks to the way your mind works, right? Like one of my favorite things is to talk to authors and kind of get in their heads and go through this process with them. So to know, and you're right, I don't see the connection.
I know, it's weird, right? Like I wasn't even like a Swiftie or anything or whatever you call it, but her Red album has a lot of rustic elements and stuff, and it just caught me by surprise. And I mean, I'd never ever heard the girl or Philip, what's that guy's name, the American Idol dude, Philip Phillips, whatever. Do you know what I'm talking about? See, you don't even know what I'm talking about, because nobody knows, you know. And it happened, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, it happened for a reason, right? So I'm gonna go with it and stuff, and that's how this little town was born.
And that's it. Me, because Alexi, I was getting Alexi, and like, I love it. And him being such a good father, but then being the wolf, you know. I mean, just everything about how in your little town, we gonna have some assassins that are gonna meet up, and he's gonna be. I mean,
yeah, Lex is like, I mean, look at me smiling. Like,
grandpa.
I mean,
yeah.
I don't even really have the words to describe Lex. Like he's everything, and that's it. Like that's one sentence should, you know, encompass everything about Alexi, you know. And I will say, like, I could get stuck writing about him and Vivian a lot too, you know, like I do, and I like it because they're more mature too. You know, it's an older love, and it feels really good to write that. Like the older I get, the more I want to dive into, what do they call them? Mature love stories. You know,
we
like
some of those.
Yes.
Yeah, and I really do like
Vivi.
Hmm?
I named one of my house plants Vivi.
Oh,
like,
you did?
You
Yes.
so like just bold, and I was like, oh, that's Miss Vivi right there. Like,
What kind of plant is it? What kind of plant?
what kind of plant is she? She's just kind of like a regular one with all the green, all the vines. I'll send you a picture actually. She's so common. They have them everywhere. I'll send you a picture. And then you're gonna say she looks like Vivi too. I know you are. I know. You're just gonna know. You're gonna be like, that's it, that's her. Like,
No, I did.
Else?
I used to have the gosh, it's a rubber plant, but he got really, really big. You know, it was a challenge from my boss at the time. She's like, pick a plant and your goal is to take care of it. And this sucker was huge. Like it started out in a 6-inch pot. Then I had to move it to an 8-inch pot. Then I had to move it to a 10-inch pot. And then it just took on a life of its own. It was so big. And his name was Darby. So I get it. But then, you know, I had to chop them up into different plants. And so just give them away. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Darby, this hurts me more than it hurts you. And I know he's like, fucker, it couldn't possibly hurt you more than it hurts me.
That is true.
Yeah, he was a big old hardy plant too.
Darby had all these little kids outside. He's like the brother that was like dropping off kids.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That is, it's so interesting. People's like heads, like to get inside someone's head and then to be like, yeah, a song wrote a whole series. Like what? How do you come up with those little names of the places, like Picture Perfect or whatever? You know how they all the little.
I don't know. Like it just happens. I really do wish I could like just give you some super cool story, but it really just pops in my head. Like cruising, Zafira's cat was named S'mores, and you know, and my daughter picked that name and stuff. And then I was like, oh, you're a little name genie. Give me some more, like rubbing her, and she's like, back up. That was one thing, and I want royalties if this is gonna happen. And I was like, forget it, get out of here. Obviously, you don't know who was in labor with you for 36 hours, whatever. But there's a new character that's coming, and she does custom, you know, kind of like a, what was it? Was it Pimp My Ride? Was that the MTV show? But she does customs, and she's Callie's Custom Cruising. Callie's Cruiser Customs, I don't know, something like that. And I was like, what? I did. And I'm like, I don't know how I did that. I'd like to be like, I'm a sorceress, but I'm not. I don't know how that happened.
That is funny.
It is because everything is so perfect. Like there's no wasted energy. Like I could see Americano's traditions being in Whiskey Row. Like it can't be anywhere else. And so just those little things, it's just like, so then we're deep in the Men of Whiskey Row, right? So now we're like trying to figure out our next reads and things. And it was like, oh my goodness, she has an MC. You know, there is a motorcyclist that works for Jack and them. It's like just all, I have to question everything you do.
There's
now.
nothing we can't.
There's always pieces that come and go. And like, it's so perfect. Even down, for example, like Kat, when she goes to New York and then her mentor turns out to be her grandma, all these little things that are just like, it's so seamless. And it's so like random things that at least I didn't pick up on. And I'm normally really good at picking up on things. But then it's like, it makes complete sense because you set the tone 2 stories ago for this to be the twist.
You know, sometimes I will back myself into a corner and then I feel like a freaking superhero when I get, well, I'm like, yeah, I made it out of there, you know, like, dumbass, how'd you paint yourself in this corner? And you're like, yeah, look at me, I made it out, you know, I'm the winner here. And the whole concept of like, there's one Easter egg that no one except one dear reader has picked up on it, and I'm so surprised. I'm always just like, really? Nobody got that? Nobody? And she just happened to message me, and she was like, so this is gonna sound crazy, but are Renee and Sidra related? And I'm like, yes, how'd you know that? And she's like, oh, and I'm like, and they are related. It comes out later and stuff, like you see it or so, but they're distant cousins. But the curse with Sidra's family and the men and stuff.
Oh, right. Okay.
And you think
my
about how
God.
Renee's had her 2 failed marriages and stuff. So, but
That
for
is so
years,
crazy.
and it comes out in their story or so, but she's like, call me crazy here. I'm just gonna run with this really quick. And I'm like, sure, what is it? And she's like, aren't they? And I'm like, yeah. And then she's like, oh, it's their last names. She's like, I just thought I should ask. And I was like, but sometimes my toxic trait is once I get going with the names, I want to, everybody's got to have the same alphabet. And I'm like, and then save the date. I'm like, oh, what did you do? Like, everybody's an A, everybody's a G, everybody's an M, and I'm like, oh my God. That's the one thing, if I could, I need to really, really work on and stuff. But I started doing spreadsheets for the characters. So every story, got like 21 spreadsheets going right now. And I'm like, okay, go back and look, highlight who's got what, make sure you color code it. And I'm like, you are not going to do this again. So yeah, we'll see with this book.
Well, I can only imagine, because even down to Sidra's brother, like there's just everything seems so intentional. So for you to literally sit right here and be like, I just got a little bit of Marvel in me, Sammy was working with me on the low, like it's blowing my mind right now, like blowing my mind. You tie every loose end super tight, and you're gonna tell me it just because I thought I'm just sitting here.
I try, I really do. Like, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna, make sure you try to do it right, make sure it all makes sense, make sure that it's not just like, she pulled that out her ass, and I know she did, because that's what it sounds like, like I really do want to move with intention when I'm writing these characters and stuff, and make sure that everybody, that you can see the connections. Some connections are very, very obvious. You would never guess it. Other connections are, and that's the way that they're meant to be, because it's easier, because somewhere along the line, you're going to find something deeper later and you're going to think back on it or so. But I like for them to be a little bit more obvious, so that it's easier for someone to get to, but for the most part, it's like, if I can slide them in, I'm gonna slide them in. We're gonna do a little Jenga piece right here and pull that out and do it, and then it's like, okay, boom, there we have a story. We're good. So I'm really pleased that it works out for me sometimes.
I never would have guessed. Like, in my head, you're just a Jedi Master, craftswoman, killer at chess. Like,
you play all the games,
yes.
And you just do it. Like, even down to the Circle of Friends. The Circle of Friends, child. Listen.
Oh my gosh. You have
her. My family thinks it's so funny, the message where you're like, who are you talking to? Damn, she said it's okay. They are so tickled pink by that. I don't, like I said, I'm just really, really grateful that the adventures are going to be enjoyed and stuff. And if there are questions that I can help and that I can answer or so, then yeah, I mean, I want to do it and I want to talk about it and stuff, and I do. I really appreciate you guys having me on today, because it's not normally something that I would do. I'm such an introvert that if it's mentioned or so, but I was like, fuck it, let's do it. And then the next day I woke up, I'm like, what did you agree to do? So, and then, even today, like right before we got on, my sister, and you guys are going to appreciate this, because I know your sibling bond and the sisterly, and I'm the big sister, and my big sister is like walking me through the Zoom and stuff. And she's like, what do you live under a rock or something? Get yourself together. I'm like, I don't like you sometimes, you know, but she got me together for all of it. And she's like, you're going to be fine. You're going to talk to people. You're going to want to. So yeah, this is a really big thing for me because I see people talking all the time. And then sometimes I get things and like, hey, you want to talk? I'm like, I don't know if it's my, you know, and you're like, act cool. Don't tell them that you want to make a blanket out of a grilled cheese sandwich and wrap yourself in it and eat it. Don't say anything like that. Be cool, you know? So no, this is great. I'm having fun with it.
Well, actor, and Nikki was like, yeah, and then I was like, I'll just wait a minute. And I was like, I'm an actor. Now Nikki was like, we're not cool. No, like, oh, you gotta play it cool. I'm gonna wait. And then when you say yes, I say, Nikki, she all
Nothing.
I mean, we were literally this morning like, do you think she's gonna cover her face? Like, what does she look like? Like
we've been obsessing over this your interview.
So we're so like, I was like, I don't know, maybe she's gonna wear like a, you know, one of those things where you can't see who she is or something like.
I told her that's not a thing people do. She would just have her camera off.
You know what? I actually did another interview and I didn't have my camera on for it. And I really regret that I didn't have it on. I really wish, you know, if I could go back time, you know, fix that or whatever. But yeah, I think I am an introvert, but it's also the social anxiety too. Like it gets me and stuff. And I am like every meme that you have ever seen about someone like, please cancel, like social plans, anything to get me out of the house. That is me. I am always that person. Like my sister has to come over and pull me out of the house. And the whole time I'm mad, or she'll be like, I signed this up for something. I'm like, you don't speak for me. You don't, unless it's food, you don't speak for me, you know, but no, I do. I wish that I had my camera on for that one, but no, I was like, wait, I do see you don't have to be live for it. I'm like, live for it, Denise, go for it.
Well, we truly appreciate it. And I get you because my sister also has to drag me outside.
Oh,
wait. Yeah, Nikki she's the most outverted person you'll ever. It's so weird.
It's not weird because I'm not outverted. Okay, I'm just very introverted.
What is it?
But when I'm people, my personality does show more. However, I just need where we're different. I need my husband or future husband to knock on my door and say I'm here because
yeah, like I mean, how's he gonna find you? He's not gonna find you outside. You know, right. You're like, did he get the breadcrumb trail? Did someone send it to him?
I think Sarita swept him away, so I'd have to go outside.
He's either going to be an Amazon driver or a postman. Like that's the only way she's going to be. He could be a police officer. I call the police officer, but nobody. Like
my husband is the social butterfly of the two of us, and he's always like, you know, do you want to go here? No, you go right on ahead and go knock yourself out. I don't need you sitting on the sofa next to me. You want to go out? Go out. I'm probably the best wife, honestly. Like I tell him all the time, I'm like, you really lucked out with me, you know? And he's like, okay, I never get to show you though. People are like, she does exist once you pop your head out. And I'm like, and that's how it should be. I'm a woman of mystery. You're going to like it.
He's out here with this fake wife that ain't nobody ever met before.
Yeah. Well, we have he's got a cousin, and his cousin they just moved from here, but he used to call me holiday cuz he only saw me during the holiday. And every time he'd be like, holiday cuz, and I'm like, whatever. I was like, every other holiday cuz to you.
Every other National Police Officer holiday stop.
Oh, that is so funny.
But he's super social, and I am not like social. Like it's a lot for me to like do. And you know, I am one of those people where I'm like, okay. So for instance, me and my two best friends, we went to Nashville last November and stuff. And I talked to my best friend, you know, the good thing about having real friends is you can like text them, you can text them like, and then 2 weeks later pick up or whatever it is and stuff like that. You know, you're solid, you know, you're good.
Right.
Yeah. She lives like 10 minutes away. I haven't seen her since November or so. So that's like, but I'll tell her too. I'll drive by her house. I'm like, hey, I'm outside your house. And she'll open the door, she'll wave. I'm like, yeah, good. You good? Okay, good. Bye, girl. You know, and I'm like, I saw her, didn't I?
That is funny.
So
that's Nikki.
But it's one of those things where I remember when the pandemic first happened, and you know, everything's locked down and stuff. I remember I hadn't left my house for 30 days. You know, like everything gets delivered to you. Like, why would I leave my house? So when that happened, I was like, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go outside and I'm gonna go do something. But I was like so scared because we didn't know anything about COVID, you know, and it was just like a whole mess. I didn't leave like for like 2 months. And I was like, okay, I need to go to the bank. I have to go to the bank. And I have like, because you don't know, I have gloves on, I have a mask on, and I'm like, I pretty much look like I'm going to rob the bank at this point, you know? So I'm in the teller line and I have my gloves and I'm like, I don't understand how this works, okay? Because if I take something from here, then my gloves are dirty. Oh no, I should have brought another pair of gloves. I should have, you know, and you're like trying to figure this out and people are behind you in line. So I go and I take the little thing with all my stuff in it, you know, you put it and send it up. So I take it and I open it and my glove rips. And I'm like, you know, and I just had the biggest meltdown in the guy behind me, and I'm like, and he's like, miss, are you okay? I was like, stay back. You know, and he's like, I want to know if you're okay. And you know, everyone's like trying to figure stuff out. And he's so compassionate to me and everything. And here I am, and he's like, well, you have another glove. I should have. And you don't know anything, so he like is just trying to be helpful. I'm like, I'll be fine. So the whole time, because my glove ripped, I'm holding my breath because that makes so much sense, right? So I'm like trying to do everything. I like pull away, I get out, I get my Lysol, I'm spraying myself down, I'm spraying my car down, and everybody is like staring at me in the drive like, what the hell is happening here? And I was just such a mess. But it was like, I was an introvert, I wasn't going out, I wasn't trying to, you know, like, I guess blend into mainstream society and make everything work. I was just like stuck at home because it was the safest and I didn't want to talk to anybody. Like my kids, I'm like, take your clothes outside, spray yourself with Lysol, give me your clothes, put them in this bag, I will do, you know. So that was a lot. Once everything happened, and then I was just like, okay, you know what? You really need to get out of the house. You need to do stuff. You need to be more, you know, present and do everything. And then, so we took that trip to Nashville and everybody was maskless, and, you know, we're on their street there, which is the equivalent to our Fremont with all the bars and stuff, and nobody has masks on. I'm like, it's good. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. And then it was like the next day after I came home, I was sick as a dog. Like it was terrible. I think I was like sick. I was sick all through Thanksgiving. So 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I started, then sick. So probably like right before Christmas, but all my tests came back, my COVID test came back negative. But I think it was maybe because it was the old ones too, you know, that the post office is still sending out and stuff. But I was like, this is what I get for going out. And that was like the only thing I could think of. I was like, damn it, I left my house and this is what happened to me, you know? So yeah, I'm trying to be more present and do a lot more things. Sorry, that was like a really long story.
No,
we were right there with you.
We're actually trying not to be such weirdos with the masks and everything because everyone's looking at you. We went to a book event and we were the only one. There were like some people, but for the most part, we had matching masks to all of our outfits. Like we were that serious about it, right? But then we felt weirdos. Like everyone was looking at us and stuff. So we were like, you know what? We did all the right things. We have our elderberry. We're good. We're fine.
We're taking emergencies.
Girl, we got home and Nikki had COVID. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with your immune system.
Well, the thing about the mask, the thing about the mask too, for me was that, so you put the mask on, you leave the house and stuff, and my skin just broke out. Like it was like, it was, and
mine's really bad.
So everyone's calling it maskne. I go to my dermatologist, and she's a Black woman, and she was just like, and I said, I cannot shake this. My skin, the texture of it and everything, you know, like it was crazy for a while. And she's like, oh, well, that's because you have rosacea. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Because I didn't really think that Black people could get rosacea, you know? She's
Right.
like, don't you? And it turns out, so she says, everybody is born with the fungus, and it's the way, the heat from the mask, and it reacts to it. And that's what caused everything to flare up, you know? So it's like, because it was all on my cheeks and everything, but she said that that's what's happened now. So now you're diagnosed, and now you have prescriptions, and here you go. And I was like, oh my God, because I couldn't figure out what it was, but it just, and you know, they tried to say, oh, you know, well, you're getting older, so it's adult acne, but it did not, no, nothing about it felt or looked anything like that. So yeah, so now I'm on medication for it because that's what the mask got. So I know all the people who are like, we're not wearing masks, anti-maskers and stuff like that. Before, I just thought that was a bunch of silliness. Like, I'm like, come on, nobody wants to wear it, but just put it on and stuff, you know? After I got diagnosed, I was like, fuck that, I'm not wearing a mask. You cannot, and I will never leave this house now. No. So I became this pseudo anti-mask person because I was like, no, I know what happens when you wear the mask, you know? But before, I'm just trying to be a good citizen and come on, guys, let's wear the mask. But after that, I was like, I'm not wearing a mask anymore, you know? So. But I will say this, I'm silly enough where when I am watching my grandson and I have to change his diaper, that mask comes out, but I'm not breathing at all the entire time. I'm just like, so I'm either gonna pass out and he's gonna be butt naked when I wake up, but I'm just like, I've got the record time for changing a diaper, let me tell you.
It's funny.
But yeah, so that's what I can take away from the pandemic.
Well, I actually was glad because I didn't have to make up excuses not to go out anymore. No one's going outside. All I can do is what I want to do. Sit down and it was protected.
Exactly.
She won a lot during that time because I couldn't make her do anything because we had to be in. And she was like, oh man, sweet, I was gonna go out today. Shut up. So
well,
bad.
I tried to use that on my sister last week. I'm like, oh, we can't go out, the pandemic. And she's like, bitch, they have declared, no, you can't, I will be at your house in 10 minutes. I'm like, you know, and then she's like, stop trying to use all those excuses or so. But what's crazy about that, that entire time, I remember my sister was going to graduate, and right before everything happened. So this is December of 2019, I think. But my sister's graduating. So we go to Indiana and we're gonna go watch her graduation. My brother comes, and he was living in Kansas at the time, and he says, and he just looked like hell. Like he met us there, and he was like, my brother's a big guy, you know, and he was just like, it looked like it was taking everything for him to be on his feet when we saw him at the airport. And I was like, are you okay? He's like, I just don't feel good. And I'm like, what do you mean you don't feel good? He's like, I don't know what's happening. He goes, Vita, his daughter, he says, oh, well, the doctor said there's something really strange going on out there, to be careful and stuff, you know. And we were kind of like, okay. You know, and he was pretty much, if he wasn't with us, like going to get something to eat in the graduation, he was in bed, and he just looked like hell. And when he left, when we got home, we were all sick. We didn't know what was happening and stuff. And, you know, they hadn't really said anything too much about it, but I just remember it just kept getting passed around the house, and it just felt like you got ran over, you know. And then this came out, and I was like, did we have it? Could we have, like, were we, you know, like, oh my God, what was this and stuff. But yeah, it was like, it was so strange because when they did lock everything down, and I thought about it, I was like, it probably was, you know, because that's what his daughter's pediatrician told him. He's like, there's something weird out there going on, you know. And it's like, I don't know. But yeah, those are my adventures in COVID. And pandemic.
And you know what? When Nikki had it, she was like, we thought it was gonna be like the end of the world, you know, but it was like very towards like the end. The first day, Nikki was like, I don't really feel good. And then the next day she's like, I'm hungry. Strange about it, right? So she's locked in the room and I'm wearing a mask and putting on gloves to bring food to her. And then I would leave and spread myself out. Mind you, this is like 2 years after it, and I'm still stressed out. Like,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like, even though there's a vaccine, you take the vaccine, everything is happening and stuff, and you're still in that first survival fight or flight mode. And I remember, because it was really hard for me. I'd never been apart from my parents for Easter, and I remember driving by my mom's house and she's sitting outside like watering. I'm like in my car and I'm like, hi mom. And she's like, hi, I miss you so much. I was like, I miss you too. My dad comes out and he's like, oh, I miss you. And we're all like social distancing. And it was just the weirdest thing. But to have Easter, and I remember my oldest son, he had his place and he was like, just quarantined, staying in his place or whatever. He didn't go anywhere. And we were all going to come together for Easter at my house. And he's like, Mom, I've been following all the rules. I haven't left and everything. I'm so excited to see you guys. And we're like, yeah, we're excited. We're excited. So then we had Easter and stuff. But and then he met someone, and then she's like, COVID's not real. And all his things just flew out the window. And I was like, who raised you? Like, what the hell? And so after that, it was like, oh no, I'm sorry, sir. I love you, but I do not know you. You cannot come over here. Don't even set foot in my driveway, nothing like that. And now they're happily married. Yeah. But it was like, who the hell, and even my husband, it was really different. Like, he'd followed all the rules and regulations up until that point. And I was like, it was like wait, what? It's a hoax. It's not whatever. And I understand everybody's going to feel the way that they feel and have whatever and stuff. But I was like, you can't come around my house till the government says it's okay. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Like, who the hell did you bring up here?
Yeah. And then he was like trying to be out everywhere. I was like, yeah, you can be out everywhere. You can be out everywhere, but 20 feet from me. Like, do not come around this way.
Now I'm over here.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is funny.
Because it was like that. It was just like that. Like,
yeah. And we actually live across the street from each other.
Mm-hmm.
So we end up just camping at her house. Because
okay.
1 bedroom. So we ended up camping at her house. And then like I would come home and like switch out stuff and make sure things are okay. But we just social distance together.
Yeah, we really like spent so much freaking time together. So when it was over, like when we were able to go back to work, you were like, I started to cry. Like, I was like, oh my God, like, who's gonna watch my kids? As if they're not like old enough to watch themselves.
Exactly. And let me tell you, the COVID was really something. Like, my daughter, I was like, she's like a little oven, like self-cleaning oven. Like, she would get up in the morning and just do all her routine and everything, and I'd be in bed like, oh my God, the world is ending, and you couldn't stop watching the news. It was like a big fire dumpster, and this is your life, and you're just like, get your shit together and go out there and be the happiest person for this kid. And I'd like stumble around like I'm drunk. Hey, you want some breakfast? And she's all turning her Zoom down and like, ma'am, I have already eaten. Get yourself together and worry about you. Do not worry about me. I'm like, so sorry. Backing out of the room. So yeah, she's doing her homeschooling and everything, but it was so weird. Like, she was great the entire time until it was like, oh, we're going to go back to school in person. And then it was like, I don't know if I can. you know, and they're like, no, you'll be fine. Then in your head, you're like, oh no, you can't either, you know, and they're like, you'll be fine, you'll be great, you'll be great, you'll be fine, yeah, you'll be fine, you know, and I'm like, this child's gonna leave my house. And then I was like, when she gets home, I already got it scheduled. Throw your clothes in this bag, take a shower, do this, put your mask on for a little bit until mommy feels comfortable. And my husband's like, scratch that one, you were never gonna feel comfortable. I'm like, you don't know me, don't act like you know me. But no.
Yeah, that first year, my niece, she was out of school more than she was in because someone kept catching COVID. So then they would couldn't go to school for 3 days. Like it was
a mess. It was really a mess.
It was bad.
Yeah. But then it's weird because it's like no one's talking about it now. And you're like,
yeah,
it's like the last 3 years never happened. Like the last 3, and like nothing happened. You're like, is this real? And you're like, God damn, it's right. I've got 20 boxes of N9 masks to prove it was real. You know, Amazon was having a deal.
Let me tell you that I was like, Nikki, this is going to be in history books. We are going to be in history books. So immediately I was like, oh, we got to get our hair done. And she was like, what? I said, we keep walking around here getting caught in the history book looking a mess. Like, store with a mask on. And I mean, we had to be on top because hello, this is our school.
Exactly.
I haven't seen that's viral yet, but
I don't know why she thought they were gonna pick our little neighborhood Walmart to be the picture of the pandemic history.
Because you never know.
It's true. You really don't know. You don't know when it's gonna happen.
You don't know. And I was like, we should be wearing.
I'm like, don't you think they would pick, I don't know, more substantial pictures than our little neighborhood Walmart?
I was like, Nikki, people want to know. It was like the Great Depression, baby. They wanted to make sure we would have been there. But we wasn't in it. So, I mean, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
It wasn't. But then you think about it too, and it's like, there's like a whole, like you learn, you know, there was the banana bread craze that everybody was doing, you know, there's like a whole bunch of other things. But the one thing I think, I started The Walking Dead in the middle of the pandemic. And I was like, why? Why did you do that? Because the next thing I know, I'm standing over my husband while he's sleeping. I'm like, okay, so check this out. So the zombie apocalypse comes. This is what we're doing. You know, and I was like, I figure because our neighbors were so close to them, we get a ladder, we can jump from roof to roof to roof to get out of the neighborhood if the zombies come. And I was like, and we can build on top. And he's like, stop watching that show. And I was like, I can't. And then to this day, I still don't know how the show ended because I'm like, how did they get here? How did it? They never tell you how it happened. They never tell you how it ended. And he's like, you need to stop right now. But I was like, I'm serious. So me and my daughter are checking it. And I'm like, I can see my neighbor's roof. All I have to do is jump, take a run and leap. I'm on that roof, I'm on that roof, I'm on that roof. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to get back into the neighborhood though. I was like, because the zombies might get, I was like, you know what? We need to build a moat. And he's like, and then I told my sister, because my sister was, she was like, yeah, she's on this thing where she doesn't think she's ever going to get married. And I was like, Jennifer, during the apocalypse, men are going to want to procreate. You're going to have a good choice of men. It's going to be like a buffet. And she's like, that's my choice, huh? That's my option. I was like, she's like, I got to wait for the fucking apocalypse to come for me to get a man. And I was like, well, if you play your cards right, you can build your own harem. And she's like, you know what? Fuck you, Denise. And I was like, I don't know, I'm just trying to help you out. Whatever. Apparently she doesn't like my helping skills. I don't know.
I mean, I never watched The Walking Dead because I'm terrified of zombies, right? Terrified. Yeah. She was a friend of ours, and she said that she feels like when she's ready to go, she could just end it, right? And everyone was like, oh, that's weird. That's not how it works. So then I said, let me tell you, if a zombie apocalypse ever broke out, that's how it's going to work for me. I'm going to end it. My heart is just going to stop. Do you know? She told me, no, that doesn't work for me, Nikki. And I'm thinking she's going to say, you can't self-destruct. She said, you wouldn't survive because I'm very clumsy. Mm-hmm. I can't run. I can fall sitting down, right? You wouldn't survive. So what I'm going to do is to help you, gonna let you get scratched by the zombie, and then I'm gonna lock you in the basement and chain you there so that I never have to be without my sister. And I'm really
But why is that why is that like an episode off of The Walking Dead? It's an actual thing. And I was like, and the person who did it,
the case. If you want me to live through something that's going to ruin me, why not just keep me in the house so I'm not near zombies? Why would you take me to the zombies?
I'm telling you, like,
I'm like, why is that your first instinct to turn me into the thing I fear? Really, like, it sounds crazy. But at the end of the day, tell me what you're missing, the bigger picture, Nikki. We'll be together. It's a family. We're sitting downstairs and they'll feel comfortable because you're with us. You're with us.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna be so skinny, girl.
You better be. I'm not gonna feed you, bro. So just know you're gonna be skinny, girl. And
she's like, you can thank me later. You can thank me for I mean, I've thought of everything.
He's gonna at least get her sister a husband. So I don't know if I can.
She was like, you were the most unhelpful bitch ever. I was like, this is the thanks I get for thinking of you? Really? You're the unhelpful one.
Yeah.
I was like, you can't even work within, you can't even work within my guidelines?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There was times where I was like practicing crawling like this and rolling over, like, and she'd be like, what are you doing? Girl, thinking about saving your life. It's I'm gonna pull you back from those damn zombies. I had to stop watching it. I had to because I was becoming. She also has an overactive imagination.
Seriously, like, you know, I think it's probably because I sit for a long time, you know, some inactivity going on that could be better, you know, but like the other day I was laying in bed watching TV on my tablet and then I went to push it back and get up and I was like, ugh! And like my neck and my elbows are locked and I was like, you know what, I needed a nap anyway, and I just put my head down and I took another nap. But I was like, no, in an apocalypse you got to be fit, you got to be number one to stay fit. And you know, and I was like telling my sister that I said, yeah, you know, you do yoga and you're flexible and stuff, zombies gonna find that hot. And she was like, get away from me, do not. And I'm like, I'm just saying, the clock's ticking on this one, Jennifer.
I mean, you're giving some sound advice out here in these streets. Like,
I'm trying to be like the guru that everybody, the love guru everybody needs.
Not you doing the hookup of the zombies. Before, get you a wilderness man. You know, one of them strong Darby types. You know, lives above a bar. If you touch this, bam, a hatchet pops out. And if you tap this, a shotgun comes out. Like, that's what you need.
Okay.
Oh man,
Y'all are crazy. I'm with Jennifer.
just thinking of all the possibilities. We're exhausting all possibilities here.
And who don't want to live? The day.
Oh my goodness.
All right, you know, this interview.
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
And this isn't the turn I thought this interview was going
Oh,
to
I
take.
know, right? What do you think? People are gonna be like, yeah, no.
Or people are going to be like, yeah.
Or maybe you should do a zombie series.
That's
A zombie
Oh my
series.
gosh, I'm so terrified. There's two types of people in this world: those that survive and those that get locked in the basement.
And we don't have these babies and babies, baby. So I don't know what we're gonna do. But you better figure it out, hon. You better, I don't know.
And I told my sister too, I'm like, you know, because you know, you don't like anybody telling you what to do. I was like, if you did get a zombie, there is a, you know, like you could just knock his like mouth part off. You don't even have to hear no lip or nothing. I'm telling you, Jennifer, it's a win-win all the way around. And she's like, She's like, I didn't think it was possible to hate you more. You prove it every time. I'm like, take my advice somewhere else then.
Someone's learning something today. That's all I'm gonna say. That's it. I ain't gonna say nothing else. She'll survive in Alaska, I'll tell you what. Yep. Because she got a plan, Nikki. You never once thought, how can I get from this house to that house? Never once did you think that.
Well, not only that, if you did, okay, so we did watch The Walking Dead. I'm like, when they were trapped in that, was it a prison or a school with the fence around it? I was like, what? Nobody, just start digging your ditch. All the zombies fall in, you light them on fire every day. It's all good. We're good. We can get in and out of here. But no, nobody. They're like watching them lean all on the fence and stuff. I was like, these people should have been dead like 10 episodes ago.
Yes. You ain't never lied, yes. Because I don't understand. Like, I kept saying, like, the electricity doesn't have to stop. It doesn't matter. The bills would just be going. Why we don't have light? Why is she getting pregnant? And then I haven't, you know how I feel about smells. So for a while, I was like, they are. Just thinking about it. I was like, no, Miss Shawn, do not tell me you out here giving out the goods with no food.
What was it? Can you get some toothpaste? I was like, what have we been using? What have we been using, really? You know?
Where is our soap and water? Okay, I'm coming back down. Let me get out of this survivor mode. That's not a grace of God. Oh my goodness. Not our life. By the grace of God. Mm-hmm.
At least we're prepared.
Yeah. There has to be someone.
All she needs is a little idea, and then she's running with it. So we've talked about this in length, and I keep telling her she don't got a plan because I'm ending it.
Oh no, you're not. Baby. Not on my watch.
Okay. So I don't understand why she feels the need to continue.
At the end of the day, our family will have to thank me because I kept you alive. I kept you there with us.
That's the end game. I mean, she's the big sister, like my big sister too. She knows best. Like before you even have a mind of your own, your big sister knows everything. Except I'm right about this one for my big sister. I want to get her the best zombie that I can get her.
They're not you doing like the zombie dating game.
Right? It's like, how many times do you bite a day? Is it once? Yeah, she might like it. She might like it. Bite a lot. Bite a lot.
Is it petting or biting? Okay, Nikki, yes, get us back on track. I'm sorry.
You're right. So lots, baby.
It is good, sexy time with you.
Oh. I don't know. I don't know how that, you know what? I'm just gonna stop saying that because you're gonna be like, why do we bring you on? You don't know anything. You don't know shit.
But you do know how to survive, baby. That's all. Nothing. You just taught us how to make it in a time where I hope we don't have to go, Nikki.
Let me ask you guys something. What's the most important for you? Is it like I've noticed a shift kind of in reading? Like I know that so a story is great. Like if there's a good plot line, there's whatever. Spice level. What is the spice level? Like, does it have to be everything, you know, like every few paragraphs, every other page, every couple of chapters or so? Like, what are you guys into? Because I notice with a lot of people, it seems that there's a lot of spice loving and whatever, and that's great. I think I do. I think it's fantastic, but I just want to know, like, it seems like it came out of nowhere, and that's what a lot of people talk about.
You want to go first? I do feel like that's become like the main focus. To me, it depends on the couple, right? Like I feel like if we're breaking it down, like Max and them have a reason for making sure they're together all the time, right? Like Max is he got to fit a lot in 30 days. So it makes sense to me about as much as they're getting it on, right? Now, Casey and Sandra, she's crazy as fuck. So like, of course, every time he gets with her, it's wild and passionate. So it has to make sense to me. And sometimes I feel like people forget that it's about the romance versus the sex. So I feel like they need to go together. But I'm never gonna say I don't want a lot of it, but I prefer more story than sex. But I do not like being trapped in the dark.
You've read a few clean romance.
And I don't like clean romance.
Okay, so for me, it doesn't matter. Like I've read things that was like, oh, you know, kid gloves, kind of steamy scenes, and then stuff that I'm like, oh, I need a shower, you know. But for me, so I don't really care. Like a good romance scene is a good romance scene. I'm never going to turn it down, but I am more plot driven.
Mm-hmm.
There is times when it's like, okay, this story was promoted as erotica and it's not erotica. It's a romance story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But for me, it just has to make sense. Like, I don't care if it's in every chapter or every few chapters. But if the plot is pulling me in, I don't even realize they haven't had sex yet.
Yes, that's true.
But I think you do a really like good balance of steam to like story ratio, because obviously we've read like shorter stories from you and longer ones, and it's like always a good balance, and it's always like right on time.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I feel like sometimes some couples are like really into it, and they're gonna get it in whenever they can and stuff, and it can't be helped. Other times it's like they're not a really sex-driven couple, passion-driven, like the chemistry. Like I remember Jack and Noel were very active and stuff, and yeah, they were very active. I don't know what was happening there, but
Jack said he was gonna have his wife.
Yeah, Jack was like, I'm not gonna be in a sexless marriage.
But I found lately that I'm into the slow burn. Like sometimes it might take a minute or so because you have to tell the story or so. And I think people sometimes think that it's not coming, that the passion isn't there, but it's like you can't just throw in this random thing or whatever. But no, I just wanted to know your feedback on it, because I am noticing that a lot and stuff. And I'm always interested in a story first. So I didn't know. And if it makes sense to pop in some sex or whatever, or is it like, no, this scene calls for it?
I agree. But we've always like not been the cool reading girls. So we don't really follow the trends. But for me, it's a story. Like I'm always going to be drawn to the story more. But a good steamy scene, it will leave an impression. But if your characters aren't holding my attention, I don't care how good your sex scenes are. I'm not going to make it there because they've lost me. So, and like I said, I've read some really lackluster scenes, but the story was so so mind-boggling. It was so engaging that's what I'll talk about. And then I've read stories where it was like, okay, the plot was okay, but the lights were amazing. They were lighting. But the stories that I love are the ones with the good plot.
I feel like people really just want erotica right now. Like that's a thing. Like everyone just wants that. And I've been reading, I really never read reviews, but that one that I told you about who upset me. So anywho, I've been like looking at some of the reviews, excuse me, that people have, and it could have been a story that they really loved, excuse me, but it didn't have enough lights for them or sex for them. So they rated it low. So, and that's interesting to me too, about what's important to people and why. Like, why is that important? Like, and I never care more about the words, and other people care more about like, he's spitting her mouth and then smacks her,
Yeah.
But the thing is, I never tend to agree with the reviews when I do. And the only time I'll read a review, because I'm like that too. I feel like people tell too much in their reviews also. But is if I'm making sure like our review posted, because Amazon be playing games sometimes. And so I'll be reading and I'm like, we didn't read the same book. Because there's no way that you miss the amazingness of the story. Like our reviews are very extensive. So I'm not going to waste my time writing a review for a book I don't like. It's just not gonna, like, we pick a song, we match it with a drink. Like, it's a very extensive process. And we try really hard not to tell the story while also making you want to read the story. So I'm not going to waste my time writing a review for a story I don't like. So it really does amaze me that people will, especially when you do get the review and it was like, well, the story was good, but I didn't like the character because she was a redhead, or there wasn't enough sex. So the thing that really,
I've had some issues.
What is the thing that, you know, matters to you, and why does it not having enough sex mean it's not a 4 or 5 star book, you know? So it just, it truly varies.
Well, I'm just gonna say it. I was ready for Zay. I was like, they deserve all this. This is for Zay. He deserves every drop. Don't leave nothing out.
You know what? The editor for that book, she used to leave me notes and stuff while we're going through stuff. And she said when Zay and Fallon finally did their thing, she was like, no, she don't deserve the dick after the way
Rita, I have not read it yet. Stop talking to me. Like, and normally when I say like I'm gonna read, she'll back off. She'd be like, well, I'm just saying. Girl,
you had me so can do it on a handstand for that man.
I mean, I think that's still one of my favorite things to read. Like, it's all in caps, the no. And I'm like, I mean,
oh my goodness. It's so we share the Sip and Read account, right? So sometimes she'll see something and it's meant for me, so she'll have to tell me, you know, but there's other times when I know she's up to no good. And she's me and she's quiet. And I'm like, Sarita, the math isn't mathing. Yeah. We already established, okay, we're doing the Farm and the Belle. We're doing, okay. Why is Miss Dia Young still at the top, Sarita?
We had a lot.
So I click on it and I'm like, oh my God. I told her to stop this 2 days ago.
Have a good night. That makes me, and I'm
that's the and I'm like, everyone does not want to wake up to your voice. Comma.
I thought it was so funny. I was so entertained by the whole thing because, you know, like, you are either going to root for this couple or you're going to be like, get the fuck away from each other. Like, go on somewhere, you go find other people or whatnot and stuff. And like, what's interesting to me is that Fallon's character, given her background and stuff, and I'll try to not to say anything or so, given her background, I'm like, it's understandable completely to me why she acts the way that she does and stuff. And I feel like everybody's got a little Fallon in them. So when I see the reviews of her, you know, they're either love or hate type thing. And it is. I'm trying to not give anything away for you. So, but yeah, no, that one comment and her attitude, but I know a lot of people who have reacted the way that she has in situations where the mistrust and stuff. And I'm always like, and you know, a really good friend of mine was like, I could not stand her. I'm like, that's amazing, because I mean, you checked 9 out of 10 of those boxes, you know? And she's like, no, I don't. And I was like, oh, actually you do. Because remember when this guy and you said, and you did, and you would have, you know, and she's like, bitch, I didn't come here for a reading. Like, what the hell? You know, and I'm like, okay, well, you know, I'm just saying, you know, everybody's got a little Fallon in them, whether you like it or not, you know?
That I was like, oh, I'm going to snatch her hair out. Oh, no. And I'm messaging you. I'm calling Nikki. It was like, and nobody was reading this with me. I'm like, oh, so don't nobody want to read good books.
She would really be doing those hand gestures. She was really doing that. But I find that people tend to always be harder and more critical of the females. And
you haven't read the book,
Absolutely. I did. I think that I found that to be the case too, where it's like the guy gets all the accolades and everything, he can do no wrong or anything. And it's always interesting to me because, you know, we're the more complicated sex, and we there's a lot for us and stuff, and you know, but guys have it easy in the books. And I asked one time, I'm like, why do guys have it easy and stuff, you know? And one reader commented to me, bitches be complicated, you know? And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, I guess that covers a multitude of things, but okay, sure. And they like give all the glory to the guys, and it's really interesting, you know, to see everything.
No matter what he did, if he, by the end of the story, he's the hero, right? But to me, like, I haven't read the story yet. Okay, I haven't read the story yet. I've been crucified for it enough behind the camera. I haven't read it yet. But the stories I have read from you, I feel like the characters always have a rhyme and a reason for who they are and their character flaws. And it's always very realistic. But when you fall in love with the male character, you fall in love with him. So
yeah,
I think that's the reason, and that it's not just women hating on women. But I do find people are way more, and I like
invested in the guy.
Yes, and I'll listen. I'm like, we didn't read the same female, because what are you talking about?
You know, that's so interesting to me too, because I remember with The Ties That Binds, in like I said, there's breadcrumbs leading up to every story, you know, like the plot, everything, how it's going to go and stuff, and some are obvious, some are not obvious and whatnot. But I thought I was perfectly transparent about where what we were doing and stuff, and you know, and we got to that last book and people were like in their feelings about it, you know, and I was like, oh, you were? You're people?
I'm people.
But I think about it, and the way that I felt was he made a decision. He didn't consider her or anything like that. And when she made her decision, and her decision had always been her decision, I thought about all those people, and I'm like, would you want this for your child? You would want your child to go in and do all this with this man and be all in and whatever, even though it's not what she wants, you know? And, you know, and it was like, but they could have, because they had this love. And I'm like, sometimes love really isn't enough. And then that's when I discovered that I really did like writing messy shit. And I was like, okay, you're going to have to back up off that, because that's not what you're known for. You're going to have to do that under another name or something. But it was really layered and like complicated in ways that were, it just felt good to me for her to make the choice that she made and stand by her word for it. And I know that, and he wanted something different too. And she was crucified for that. I was crucified for that too, you know, for writing that. But I felt like it was the right thing, you know, like these were who these people were. They didn't blame each other for their choices or anything like that. That's just life and stuff. But you know, that's what I was wondering about also too, because it was like, poor Ransom. And I'm like, no, told him to go say or go do that or whatever. Like his mom was there. She offered, and he was like, he martyred himself for that, you know. And a lot of people were like, oh my goodness, no, you know. And I feel like, yeah, that's how it works sometimes, you know. And they still favored him over her working on herself and doing what she wanted.
I had told Nikki, I was like, she's in a different bag with this book. Like it felt different. It felt different. Like I just felt like it was more edgy. It was just a different bag. Like I really thought that you were just doing something completely different. So I felt some type of way because I wanted what I wanted, but what happened was supposed to happen. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it didn't just jump out of nowhere. It wasn't like hold on, this bitch gonna live her life. It wasn't like that. You know, it didn't just pop out at you. So I was one of those people, but now that we've had this conversation, I'm not anymore. But I do believe like that the characters, I felt like the women you write are sometimes you're like, oh, I can't stand her, but they're so strong. But but that's life. Like I get mad at Nikki and I'm like, I can't stand Nikki. Like,
oh, I hate this girl of none.
it fits. You know what I'm saying? Like down to when Casey told Max, try sleeping with one eye open. You don't know that.
The heart wants what the heart wants.
Was that damn crazy?
I loved it.
Was crazy.
But again, there's always a method to the madness. Like you coming off of Jack and Noelle's story, you are like, what is wrong with you, Sidra? Even getting like, okay, he embarrassed you, but you're doing a lot. But I always mess with Sidra. I'm always gonna go for the strong, I don't give a F female. Like that's just always gonna be my bag. But when you got her backstory, everything made sense. So I don't understand people who, you don't have to like the character. That's, you know, everyone's entitled, but I don't understand how you were surprised that she moved this way, knowing what got her here.
Yeah. I think that for the females, like strong female characters, they have to be strong for me. I can't if they're not, you know, and everybody is strong and supportive or whatever they're going to be for that person until it's their story. And then they can like relax and then let other people be that for them too.
Right.
But I think it's just so important. Like the women, I don't ever want the women to take a back seat to the men, you know, and when one of my processes is that I always start with the female character, who she is to me, what she is or whatever, and what kind of man is it going to take to love this person, you know, and then I build around it and stuff. And I don't know, it's never just oh yeah, I this guy and this girl, it's always the girl first and how she can be her own hero before anybody else comes in and stuff, you know. I think the thing about also too with like Jack and Noelle, Noelle got some flack because, you know, she was like mad at Jack and Jack's like, I didn't do anything but point you in the right direction, you know? And
you point me in their direction.
That I can't understand.
Yeah, they were like, oh, you know, she was a little bit wishy-washy for the way she was moving and stuff. But I think that, you know, it was Jack did point her in the right direction, but she did everything else on her own and stuff, you know. So that was, and she was my first character to start with, so I didn't know. Like to me, everything makes sense. Like there's a push and a pull, you know, like females got to give a little, we got to take a little, you know. I think one of my things, something that drives me crazy is when the characters are not together yet. Like it takes forever for them to get together in the book. I like my people to get together and I like them to stay together and I like them to work everything out the way they're going to work things out. You know,
she wouldn't let Zay be straight. She wouldn't let Zay be great. She wouldn't let my man be great.
She played with him for too long.
Can we focus on this here and now, please? Thank you. Please continue.
But I think it's one of those things that's important. I want to see how they're going to work together as a couple, you know, before they do anything else. And, you know, if we can get through all the trials and tribulations and, you know, we learn and grow from there. That's something that's always been important to me with these couples.
Well, Holt and Kat had some of the best build-up, like throughout the books until their book. But one of my favorite parts, I can't remember what Holt's cousin's name is, and she had just found out all that grimy stuff going on, and Kat just slapped some sense into her.
Yes,
that is like one of my favorite scenes. It's like, bitch, remember who you are.
Yes,
and the game changed. That is like of that whole series.
Is her name? I'm gonna randomly text you and be like, because I remember it now.
Holt's cousin.
I cannot remember her name. It's gonna drive me crazy.
Thea. You know, the thing about Holt and Kat was she is this you know, she's the baby. The baby gets the rep, you know, you're the baby. Everybody wants to do everything. Hell, my brother is the baby. And my mom was like, oh, you got to hang your brother's clothes. I was like, he's bigger than me. Why do I have to hang his clothes? You know, so the baby is always going to be the baby. And I talk about that with my daughter too. Like her name's Devin, and in my phone she is Soft Life Devin. Like that's who she is. We just want her to have her best life, live it the way, you know, like everything. And she's like everybody's favorite. And Kat is like the girl, the only girl surrounded by alpha men, you know. So it's hard to establish yourself when you're up against all this testosterone, and you know, but everybody wants the best for you, you know,
right?
What they think is the best for you, type of thing. So Kat really had to come out hard and show herself in a way that is like, yes, you know, I am the baby, but yes, I will also fuck you up if you even attempt to do anything.
She wasn't no joke.
And for her brothers to not know it was, you know, to finally find some things out about her and let her stand on her own. You know, a lot of people felt that her running off to New York, and I'm like, well, what is she supposed to do? Is she supposed to sit at home while this man goes and does his thing? Like she has a great opportunity in New York. She's not running from him. She's going
her death says mean threatening.
Yeah. Like, so that was one of those things where it's like, yeah, she's gonna continue to live her life. What is she supposed to do? She's supposed to sit here? She doesn't, you know, like she's doing what she got a job opportunity. She's gonna take it. And you know, I think they were like, oh, you know, this is a breakup and she's running. And I was like, that's not the case at all. You know, like we're gonna do what we need to do here. So
we devoured your books, like
The Men of Risky Road. We read the whole series in a week, like so fast, right?
So when we loved it. So when we found The Farmer and the Belle, we looked at each other and we was like, she write Black men? Like,
you know,
we did not say that. She said that.
Okay, but you thought it. So I didn't even know, right? So then I was like, man,
you know,
the Baymore series has a completely different vibe than the Risky. Like all your series, they're so interlocked.
They're like a filter.
Yes, but each book has its own vibe. Like it's so crazy how you can truly like free flow through them, but you know what series you're in when you're reading it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that everything, every series just always feels different when you get in it and you know and stuff. And I think that Baymore is first. Yeah, The Farmer and the Belle is the first book. Like I love writing about Black love. Like I just haven't had a chance to.
I can't use it. Say that.
I'm so excited.
I haven't really got a chance to really dive in as much because there are all these other stories that people are waiting for and stuff, you know, right. And I want to keep my word and get these stories out in the order that I said I would, you know. So sometimes it's like I'll be writing something, but I'll be looking at these two characters over here, and I'm just like, I cannot wait to get to you, but I'm trying to keep my word here, you know, and I want to do that before anything. But a lot of the stories that are interracial, multicultural, you know, some of these characters, they're not talking to me, and I've kind of made the decision where it's like, you know what, I'm going to give it this until this time. If there isn't enough to build something here, I need to step away from that, you know, like as disappointing as it may be to not keep my word on something, like there's other stories that need to be told, you know, and right. I really, really do want to dive into them because there are like, I think last year, I only did, was it last year? Yeah, I only did 2 books last year, but they were both Black love stories. And I was so like, just super excited and super proud about that, you know, because they'd been on the back burner for a long time trying to get to everything else and stuff. And, you know, so this year, I think so Fern and Guy are out of the way. the rest of the stories this year, they're all about Black love. And I really can't wait to share them. But writing about Max and Georgie first and foremost, like that was everything to me. And to write about them and stuff, and then to write about Graham and Annabelle, and especially Zay and Fallon. And I know Fallon's on your shit list, but like I really do, and I can't wait to get to Lincoln Savvy either. So
I can't either. It's just something that because that was our first intro to you. So I just assumed that that's what it was. So then when it was something else, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy. Nikki, this is so tight. Yeah. It really just even made me more obsessed with you. Like, okay, so she can do it all. Like I didn't know. So it was just so,
especially because in the beginning, like any interracial romance we were reading, like the author strictly only writes interracial. So it did feel like, whoa, writers can write more than one thing.
Yeah, I mean,
and then she's writing a book. Oh, this is crazy. Like when I say that you
diverse,
it was something that I was not expecting.
So
it
diverse.
made it even better. And then to go to Kismet Cove, and I'm just like, where have you? It makes sense that you've been a lot of places. Because,
yes.
I want every town to be different and feel different and stuff. Like I really don't know how it would go. Like the barber in Whiskey Row, he's Black, you know. So eventually, like he's gonna have a story too and stuff. Like I don't want anything to be separated. Like in Baymore, you've got Eliza and Wade, you know, and then you're gonna have Tavish and Renee or so. Like I would like to keep, huh?
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. But yeah, you're gonna eventually like see a Black couple in Whiskey Row. Like there's no reason for there not to be, you know. And I mean, you've got enough people. It's such a diverse town, but you know, there's a lot of diversity already and stuff. Like you're gonna see it, you know. It's just a matter of when to get to that story. But no, I never even meant to, like I said, I started with The Farmer and the Belle, and then I just had this other story that took precedence over it. But as soon as that one was done, and New Beginnings, the novella and stuff, to catch up, like immediately I pivoted and I was like, I want to go tackle The Farmer and the Belle, because I feel like that's a really, really important story for people to read about and to see. You know, you've got this lingerie designer, you've got this lawyer turned farmer and stuff, you know, and they're a power couple. I want people to celebrate their love and see it, you know, for what it is and stuff. So yeah, I was never ever gonna just be stuck in one genre. Like for me, that doesn't work for me. It just, there's so many stories to be told in so many ways, you know, and I want to share it all. I want to get to them all and stuff. So yeah, I'm really excited.
But I will say you were the first one because we read everything, right? But we just mostly like to have a Black female lead. But you were the first one to change my view on like, it can be one thing or another. It doesn't have to just be one thing. It can be both. So Nikki wants to act like she wasn't thinking it, she was, but it literally blew me away because I was like, oh my gosh. And then I already felt like it was multicultural, but I mean, it blew me away. It wasn't what I was expecting. So then it got more. And then I was like, oh my gosh, who is Graham going to be with? Oh my God. Am I going to want to see Graham with a white woman? I can't. Oh my God. And I fell in love with Graham.
Yeah. You know, it's also like, sometimes when you're looking at things, like I know people want to be inclusive and stuff and share the diversity and stuff, but there are some stories out there, like for me, writing Black love stories is really, really important, and like in only the way that I can do it, you know. There are so many Black authors that are writing love stories that are just like, they blow you away, and you know, they make you even more inspired to write and stuff. And sometimes I think I get a little stagnant. Like it took a long time to bring Save the Date to publish it and stuff, and like I ran into a lot of issues with the publishing and personally where I had to set it back, but the entire time I'm like eyeballing Savvy and Link because I want to get there, you know, and I want to get there and I want to do it and stuff. But no, I'm excited, and I don't want to just stay in one genre. Like, why? There are so many,
Right.
there are a lot of stories to tell still. You know, hopefully I can get to them all.
And I just appreciate all the time that you gave me in the DMs. Like, not once did you ever make me feel like I was irritating you. Because I was like, okay, so now we in the hood and we in Baxter Park. When you took me through it, you took me through it. And
let me tell you, your narration.
Like, whoa, she has the patience of a saint. She would have been blocked by now.
You never got frustrated with me, and I just appreciate it. And
oh no, never, absolutely not. Because I mean, I want people to know and to understand it as best as they can. And you know, sometimes it's like somebody will totally miss the mark on something, and I just have to be like, you know what, that's what they took away from it, and that's their opinion, and just keep it moving. Like, their opinion is going to be their opinion. It doesn't affect me, you know. But when someone reaches in and it's like, hey, like, I always want to answer whatever I can, because there's no one who's going to tell it better than me, you know. So or explain it that way and stuff. And yeah, no, I thought it was so funny. And, you know, my family really, really thought it was funny also. And they're just tickled pink.
What if she pressed play and she's around someone, Sarita? Are you thinking about the things that you're saying? Because she has impulse control issues. And I'm like, and you're not. You're just saying what's on your head.
Well, and it was so crazy because I would finish a chapter and then I would go and be like, hey,
oh, when she said, what? And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. Let me hold your hand a little bit here. Like, we're gonna walk out.
We're gonna get through this, right?
Yeah.
And I know you tried to best, but I'm just one more if we can. Luella was so bomb. Like, you were so phenomenal with her. Like, so phenomenal. I felt like you handled everything perfect. You know, getting to see her in earlier books and then to really getting to be a part of her. She wasn't like any other female character, not even that you've written, but that I've read, period. She was so bomb.
Oh, thank you so much. Elle, yeah, she's one of my favorites. My absolute, like, I have to say that she just has a big heart, and for her, like, she always sees the bigger picture. But I thought, like, when I created Luella, and you know, and she was actually created just for Sid, like, to just support her, be her support person, because, you know, yeah. And then I was like, you know, and I think about it because I always write the female character first. And I'm like, she was the strongest character that I've ever written. And in a way that, like, what would happen if she broke, you know, like, what do we do? Who can do this, you know, who can do this with her, who can be her person and stuff. And, you know, for her to be there for everybody, and then everybody needs to be there for her, and everyone rising to the occasion and stuff. I was like, she's gonna need a gentle guy, you know, like, she's so strong that only, you know, it would take the strength of someone gentle to be with her, you know. And I think that her and Wyatt they're amazing together, but she can be who she's supposed to be, really, with him, you know, versus like with Tommy, it was always like she was always going to be stronger than Tommy, you know. And Wyatt had his own losses and stuff, and he knew when to be soft for her and when to not be, you know, like, he knew exactly what she needed before she ever knew.
And Tommy, baby, I don't know what I don't know. Listen, I was like, where is she going with this? Like, hold on. I haven't read it yet. So, but I know what's happening. And I don't read synopsis ever. Do you know how many times I done read that synopsis?
That's, you know, it's like I say, if I can, Tommy did a bad thing. Okay, Tommy did a bad thing. Tommy needed his ass whooped by Zay several times. Tommy needed and deserved whatever he had coming, you know, until I sit down and I'm just like, I can see where, okay, all right, I can see some more of Tommy, and I'm trying not to give anything away, you know, but Tommy he could never be the person he was supposed to be to begin with, you know? So it was one of those things where I did see an opportunity for redemption with him. And, you know, to all the people that hate that, they're like, Tommy gets a story, you know, you're like, yes, he does. You can skip over it if you want to. You can, like, you don't have to read it. It's not brain surgery. Nobody's making you do it. You don't have to, whatever, like, not a dick. Don't take it so hard. You just, you know, like, it's fine if you do not. I get it. I get where you're coming from. I'm not trying to make anything, you know. So when I see people who are like, oh my God, I just hated this, and I, you know, and I didn't want to read, I'm like, nobody made you read that, but okay, you know, like, we're gonna keep it moving to the next book and stuff. But Tommy and Jade's story has to be one of my absolute favorites, because I don't condone.
She said it to me in the DMs as well.
I don't condone what Tommy did at all and stuff. And but the way that him and Jade are together, like, you can see, yes, Ella could have been with Tommy. She could have been with Tommy, but you know what? Tommy would never be the man that he was supposed to be if he was with Ella. You know, he couldn't rise to the occasion.
And I see that. Oh, I see it. But it was just, you're such an evil genius in that way, because I was like, oh, so he gonna do this right now? Like, oh, so I'm supposed to feel happy for him? I'm thankful that he did it. But like, you were so on for that, because I'm just gonna be an asshole if I'm like, fuck him after what he just did. You. So I was like, okay, so now I'm the asshole here. So I just thought it was. I really, really, really enjoy your world building. I enjoy your storytelling.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
The just everything. Like, I truly, truly enjoy it.
Everything comes together to make perfection.
And you taking time to talk to us is more than truly appreciate.
Thank you.
Oh no, I appreciate you guys giving me this opportunity. I really do. To talk about these things, because you know, I'm talking to my husband and my daughter, and they're like, do you have friends that you could talk to about this? And I'm like, you know what? You don't deserve me. I'm going to go find some people. So no, thank you also for this opportunity. I really appreciate it. And I absolutely enjoyed our time together.
So
okay, that made me sound like a cruise director. Sorry. I didn't mean to sound like a cruise director right there.
But you will always have a special place in our heart, because everybody was tired of me talking about your book.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope that you have a good night.
Oh, you guys too. I'm sorry our time is coming to an end, but no, I do. I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Well, I was thinking, I said, Nikki, oh my God. I'm like tapping her like, oh, look at the time. She's letting us keep going. All right, keep going, Nikki.
No, I could. I find that, like, I could do this all night. But no, I do. I appreciate you.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we let you go, we always say, like, if so-and-so was a drink, like, what would it be? So you can choose out of all the characters that you have, like, if this person was a drink, what would it be? Or the series, whatever you like.
Oh my gosh, I don't know, because I don't really drink. Okay, I got to make sure my family's not listening. I do. It's just wine, but that's it. I'm not like a big drinker other than wine. I mean, I don't know. Can I come back? Like,
You never eat
DM that, because I don't know. I'm sorry.
The alcohol. Because if you actually DM us first, that would be awesome, because it's not weird now just to randomly start conversation after we've been talking for 2 hours. So yes, please, you do that.
I will definitely do that.
Good night.
Well, I'll say Alexi is definitely a fine wine. He just gets better with age, baby.
Yes, he
Yeah.
does.
He really, Alexi, I don't care. Like, I think for me also too, like I have to remember that I'm 47. So sometimes like in my head, I'm very like, I'm probably like 12. Like I'm very immature for my age sometimes with some things. But, so it takes me a minute to realize that I'm closer to 50. But I was like, Alexi's old ass. I'm getting the sack with Alexis. I'm like, well, Alexis not that old compared to you, Denise. I was like, but still, I would not kick him out. I absolutely not.
No, ma'am.
Alexi's like one of them TikTok grandmas.
Yeah.
He's looks good. Like, when
Yeah,
his hair is all rugged and he's like, ooh. So
About who he was and what he would do for the woman.
I was
Yeah.
like, whoa. But you know what? When we got into that book, I was like, oh, so she was giving him a look.
Yeah. Yeah, Alexi is very special.
Well, I truly love your characters. And look, now we're keeping you just a little bit longer. I think about Alexi, he will always be near and dear to my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Vivian took in those boys. Alexi did not have to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But those were his boys just as much as Vivian, just as much as Ian. Like, it was, he is everything.
The family
you can't
that
say
you
nothing to me
was
about
amazing.
that family.
You built such a strong family, like down to if someone says that they got you and they really have you, like that is that book. Like, I mean, I felt like they paid for Jack to go to school. They paid for, and it wasn't like those are her best friend's kids. Those were his kids. Those were her kids. And when they got mad at her, I cried.
Yeah. To me, like, family is so important, and it really is. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be your blood. It's whoever's in your corner, and whoever's gonna like ride the hardest for you. And all they need is the keys. They don't ask directions or anything like that, And like for me, after Alexi lost his own family by choosing Vivi, like he was very much like, yes, Patrick was an awful problem. Everybody wanted to do him in. Like, that should have been a murder mystery. I should have done that, but he knew, and he'd seen the boys. He knew what Moira was going through and stuff, and how important she was to Vivi. But like, to see a father be like this to his sons, and he'd chosen Vivi over his own family and stuff. So he really felt like he had so much that they needed him and he needed them too, because he built his family there in the row and stuff. And it was never a question after that meeting with Ian, like that they were going to come and stay with him. They knew who he was.
Okay. All right.
I know.
I'm gonna let you go. I am.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you go.
Okay.
But yeah, I really like Ian. I'm just gonna throw that out.
She really likes MM, but so she's.
I do read a lot
of MM for Ian's on fake stories.
Ian is like, sometimes when people ask me about a certain character or so, and they just have so many levels to them, where I don't really know where to begin. And Ian, some stories are just like a rabbit hole where it's like, am I really ready to jump down that? Because I can't give you like a short, like it's not gonna be, I'm gonna give you a happy for now. If I give you anything with Ian and Dominic and stuff, until I can really figure it out, until the characters really start talking to me. And I know people are like, it's so easy, just stick them together, but it's like, it's not. There's a lot going on there and stuff. And I don't think people really realize the age difference too. Like, but it's not like he would be Dominic's sugar daddy or anything, because Dominic has his own money and he has his own thing going on. But he's coming into his own too, as who he is supposed to be. So
Hi,
Yeah.
and kept going. I was like, that's right, Dominic. You don't let him play with you. But then I was like,
But no, I agree. Like if you want it done right, it takes time. And it's easy to say, oh, just throw them together, but then it's lackluster. Like the reason I feel like, especially now talking to you, the reason everything is so perfect is because you wrote it when it was time.
Yeah,
Like,
it
seamless.
takes a long, like, so what happened the first time around was, 2016, I published 8 books and stuff. And then I was like, that was my 40th birthday present to myself. Like, this is what you're going to do and whatnot. But then I realized I had to go back and I had to do a lot of correcting and stuff. And I didn't, it was just I think it was a terrible feeling for me also too. Like, and I felt like I had put in the work, but there was more work to put in. So then it was like I pretty much spent another 2 years going back through and redoing things when I could have been writing more and stuff. And I think that just kind of hit me in a place where I didn't feel as motivated, because it's like, you got a whole shit show going on, Denise, like fix your things. And it took me a while to get out of that. So now it's even more when I see people or I read something and they're like, why does it take so long? And I'm just like, because it just does. It does. If you want something to last and you want to be proud of it and you want, like it's going to take some time. And, and I don't worry sometimes, like, this woman emailed me and she's like, I'm going to forget about you if you don't get on it, and I was like, well, it was nice to know you. Talk later, like I,
just listen to another book, dear.
Yeah, and when I read that, a part of me was a little bit panicked at first, like, oh my God, they're gonna forget about me, but I was like, fuck that. This,
Right.
like, remember me for this and what I'm going to bring to you and stuff. And I sit here and I think about these things and stuff, but that rush of panic when she said that to me and stuff, but then I had to just be like, no, that's fine. You go ahead, you go do whatever it is you're gonna do and stuff, so now it does take a long time sometimes, but I've also learned, like, one of the challenges for myself is to do shorts, which is what I've done with the Bishop family series and stuff. Like, those are just novellas and stuff. They're between 6 to 10 chapters and stuff, and that's actually the one that's coming. Have you guys read this one?
Not yet.
You had told me about it, that it was going to come to audio. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to wait, because I'm going
to read it now just so I can read it before her.
Hold on one second. It's this one. Oh my God, where's the glare? There it is. So this time around. So this was a challenge for me because I feel like I can never just, like, I try to write something shorter and it never works for me. I don't think that I'm like a super, like, well, it was my last novella before this, the Time, Love, and Tenderness, and it was like 14 chapters and 170 pages, and I'm like, that's not a novella, you crazy girl. So this one I'm actually really proud of, because this is Darcy and Kareem's story, and they're a mature couple, and they were divorced. So this is a second chance love story, and it's a holiday novella too.
And I cannot wait, because I love Christmas in July, honey. Oh, it's perfect.
So that was a challenge for myself, because I see a lot of great authors out there that putting out shorts, and I'm like, it's one thing to write a long story, but to write a short one, to me, it takes like a lot of time and effort, and it has to be right, and it has to, like, and I love them. When I see the shorts, I'm like, I get so excited, because I'm like, how did you do this in like this short amount of time and stuff? So I'm excited about that. But their daughter's story is the one that's coming out soon. I guess that's all I can say about that, because I haven't even I just did the cover reveal and everything in the newsletter, and there was an excerpt also on the story too and stuff. But I'm excited because, for it to have short chapters, and, it's meaningful and it's cute and it's funny and I like it.
And we're excited. I'm gonna let you go after this. Can I just say how much I appreciate you knowing your characters? You know all of their names, their moms, their couples. Like you're so good at that. Like that is really hard when you have so many and so in depth. So I applaud you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I think it comes from coming from big families where it's like, you know, that's Junebug's brothers, sisters, mothers, and then they, you know, it's like your seventh cousin twice removed. And you're like, oh, yeah, sure, I know that. And then, you know, you got to remember it. So, but the spreadsheets really, really help out a lot with that, because I remember I was like, wow, you really like the name Nate, Denise. You've got 4 characters named Nate. And I was like, no, that was the good part in going back and working through the books and stuff, because then that's like, you do not need another Nate. Get out of here, girl.
Oh my goodness, we thank you so
very
much.
very much.
This was so much fun.
I know, I had a really great time. Thank you again. I really appreciate you having me, because I know my family's on the other side of the door like, well, how'd it go? How'd it go? You acted like a human, right? And I'm like, oh no.
We'll be posting it to YouTube in a few days.
And we will send you the link. And thank you. Thank you. Because you've given me a lot to think about. Not just books wise, but also survival.
I did not know we were gonna get that lesson.
Thank you. I needed that. Yeah.
Well, thank you for listening to my techniques that I would implement in the event that something like that did happen.
Yeah, she's about to tell me like, Nikki, that tree outside your house, I think we could make it. So now I know she's the next few days, she's gonna be plotting our escape from both of our places. So thank you.
It's nice to have an exit strategy.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Oh no, thank you, ladies. Okay, you guys have a great night. Bye. How do I do this? Did you hear that? Okay.